On today's final Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show, the Bucks wrapped up their season against the Northern Arizona Wranglers. We'll have the highlights to see if they can end on a high note with the playoffs around the corner. We'll also check in on scores and standings from around the IFL. And, of course, with the season coming to a close, we got to take a look back at the 2022 Bucks season that was. It's all coming up on today's Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show, which starts right now. Hello everyone, welcome inside our Beck Studios. I'm your host David Triggerman, and this is the last Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show of the 2022 season. Hard to believe on our last show today. The Bucks wrapped up their regular season against the Northern Arizona Wranglers this past weekend, hoping to end things on a high note and snap a 10-game losing streak going into the offseason. Northern Arizona looking to clinch the 2 seed and a first-round home game in the West going into the postseason. First Wrangler drive, quarterback Caleb Barker. Plenty of time. Delivers on the money for wideout Jeremy Neal. 26-yard score, 6-0 Wranglers after the missed extra point. The scoring kind of slowed down from here for a long time, though. Middle of the second quarter, still the same score. Handoff for running back Edward Vander. He squeezes through for the 2-yard touchdown. Bucks go ahead 7-6. Get a better angle right here. You can see Vander keeps those legs churning. Bucks go ahead. Scoring continued to be hard to come by in the first half. That's until Barker and Neal, they'll hook up again. Barker gets it away under pressure. 8-yard zip to the back of the end zone. Wranglers back on top, 13-7. And now the offense is beginning to find their groove. After Bismarck recovers an onside kick, great field position. Quarterback Giovanni Sanders with a 1-yard sneak, 14-13 Bucks. Finally, just before the half, Barker going to show off those legs. Scrambling, reaching, scoring. Northern Arizona up 19-14 going into the locker room. Not the last time Barker used his legs. Faking the handoff and a 25-yard stroll. Touchdown Barker, Northern Arizona up 26-14. Down 12, Bucks in need of some kind of life. 3rd and 10. Sanders on the move, just dumps it for Vander. Escaping tacklers, 39-yard pickup all the way down to the 6. Huge play there. A few plays later, 4th down and goal. Bucks in desperate need of points. Sanders squeezes in. You see ball comes out here at the end, however, after Sanders broke the plane. Bismarck back within 5, 26-21. Later in the third, Barker following his blockers, his 3rd rushing touchdown, this one from 7 yards out. 4th quarter now later, it's 33-21. Running back Israel Tucker takes the handoff. He gets away from some tacklers, 9-yard touchdown, 39-21. Ultimately, Bucks just didn't have enough. Edmund Caldwell in here at quarterback, has to throw one up for grabs, intercepted by Bill Atkins. He takes it back to the house, and that was the ball game. 37-yard pick 6. Northern Arizona gets the win 46-21. They clinch the 2 seed in the West and are 12-3. Bismarck closes their season 3-13 and on an 11-game losing streak. Let's check out some other scores from around the IFL. Sioux Falls takes down Green Bay 50-42. Going between Frisco and Quad City, 50-44 Fighters victory. Massachusetts on top of Bay Area, 44-28. Elsewhere, high-scoring affair between Iowa and Tucson. The Barnstormers over the Sugar Skulls, 61-48. Maybe the game of the weekend was Duke City and San Diego. The Gladiators eked by the Strike Force, 53-51, and the Arizona Rattlers take down the Vegas Nighthawks, 49-41. Now, the Bucks season might be over. However, still one more week in the regular season left for some other teams as a tune-up for the playoffs. Let's check in on some of those important games coming up from around the league this week. Iowa taking on Quad City, San Diego and Massachusetts going at it. Elsewhere, Sioux Falls and Frisco. Frisco, the best record in the league right now, trying to finish strong in the regular season. Alongside that is Northern Arizona will finish up against Duke City. And finally, it's the Tucson Sugar Skulls and the Bay Area Panthers. Time for us to take a short break. When we come back, we'll break this last game down a little bit further. You're watching the Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show.
Parents, listen up. Here's what your kids are being taught in public school, that there's no difference at all between boys and girls, that every white person is racist, and so is math. Supporting Black Lives Matter and social justice is more important than reading and writing, and thanks to Joe Biden, teachers unions just got tens of billions of dollars in COVID cash to push all this in front of your kids.
That's right, and we want to make sure you not only stay informed, but have the tools to fight back. So watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. Travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.
Welcome back inside the Coaches Show, and for our final Coach Show, we bring in Bucks insider Chris Clayton. Chris, thanks for joining us. Hard to believe another season's in the books, man.
It went by so fast. It's crazy to think that it's all over now. It was one that started with some excitement, as we'll go into as the show goes on. Great start after coming off a playoff appearance last year. Things didn't go the way they wanted, but it's wild to see how quickly everything's just come to an end this season.
Yeah, we'll look at the season big picture, but first just starting off small. This past game, Bucks were only down 19-14 at the half. They end up losing by 25. Where did this last game get away from them?
I think it's kind of a story that we've seen a lot this season from this Bucks team is just a couple mistakes kind of turn into an avalanche. You allow a big play here or there, or you commit one turnover, and you've got to be able to turn the page and get back on track quickly. That's what a lot of the best teams are able to do. And at times this season with this really young Bismarck team, they just let those mistakes compound. And in the IFL, if you put together a couple mistakes in a row, you look up the scoreboard, all of a sudden you're down 20. And that's when it can be hard to keep everybody, their morale high and not get dejected and discouraged. So I think this was what we saw in this game is the Wranglers are just so consistent. They have a lot of experienced players and high-level players that if you make a couple mistakes, that's ball game. And we saw some glimpses from Bismarck. You got to give them credit, the Bucks, to come in 3-12 on the road and play against one of the best teams in the league and compete the way Bismarck did. You got to love their effort level and their attitude going in that game because they played their tail off.
No doubt. And expanding on Northern Arizona's success, that kind of feels like the blueprint for Bismarck, hopefully going into next season. The Wranglers only won one game last year. They've won 12 this season with another game to go. What's the biggest reason for Northern Arizona's turnaround that hopefully Bismarck can emulate next year?
Well, a lot of it with Northern Arizona and with Indoor Football League in general is getting consistency with your roster. If you have a lot of player turnover, not just year to year, but I'm talking even within the season. If you have guys getting hurt, if you have guys switching teams or leaving the league, or you're having to release guys, that's when it can be difficult because you're constantly having to teach guys the system week in, week out. the Wranglers, obviously, yeah, they got better players this year. That's part of the reason. But it's also about keeping the same group of guys for the most part consistently throughout the season. And I think that's what the Bucks have still been trying to find over the years, is be able to have that roster consistency, from the quarterback down. You don't see a lot of guys in the Bismarck roster that were week 1 starters that were starters at the end of the season. And that can be good and bad. Sometimes you make upgrades, but having that consistency through your roster is something the Wranglers were able to find this year and Bismarck wants in the future.
Let's back things up a little bit, because before the 11-game losing streak, things were off to a pretty strong start. Bismarck was 3-2. One of those losses was a 2-point loss to Sioux Falls. What was going right those first few weeks?
Well, I think at that time, there was more consistency offensively. I think the offense took a bit of a step back over the course of the season, and part of that is defenses made adjustments to the Bucks offenses, kind of were able to be prepared for what they were bringing, but also, some guys went down with injury, and things just changed. And I think that the offense ended up hurting the defense a bit as well, because the Bucks defense still had glimpses at the end of the season. Some of these final scores, you see the Bucks give up 50-plus points, and a lot of it wasn't always just the defense's fault. The offense would turn it over or not be able to string together drives. And if you're constantly giving the ball back to your opponent in good field position, suddenly they're racking up 40, 50 points, and that necessarily didn't reflect in the defense. So I think that success, we see some of the touchdowns from early in the season on offense, we didn't see a lot of that consistency during the losing streak.
A lot of really close calls this season. 7 games decided by 1 possession. Unfortunately, the Bucks were 2-5 in those contests. What was the difference in some of that late game execution this year?
I think some of it's bad luck. That's a reality in the indoor football league. Is during those close games, you've got to have the seconds tick your way or the ball bounce your way. But also, you see there, a blocked field goal, for example, that could have won the game. Being able to execute, that was early in the season, especially a big problem was those blocked field goals. And there was also just miscues that were self-inflicted. I think you can even count those blocked field goals as self-inflicted wounds. Being able to block those is something they can usually do. They weren't able to. Those fumbled snaps were something that affected them. So I think just self-inflicted wounds and being able to step up in the big moment is something that you'll find when you have a group of guys that play together more, they're more experienced. They can lean on one another and have more confidence because they know the guy next to them on a personal level and a professional level. And when you have a lot of turnover and new players, some of those issues can come up in late game situations.
Yeah, one area where head coach Rod Miller gave the team an awful lot of credit was their fortitude. This was clearly a really difficult season for the team, but they continued to compete down the stretch.
They did, and it really came to a head at the end. That final game, it was kind of an awkward schedule to end the season. You had a game and then a bye week and then one more game on the road all the way down in Prescott, Arizona, and then a bye week to end the season. So I think, after that final game in late June, a lot of players would have just said, okay, the season's basically over. Let's just get this over with. Let's just get this one more game and take the trip to Arizona. But they showed up in Prescott and really fought. And I think, you got a group of guys on the roster throughout the season, even with the turnover, that all had a chip on their shoulder, all with something to prove. And they played together and they played hard. And that's, even when the team is losing, as a Bucks fan, that's all you can ask for. Keep playing hard down to the final whistle to the end of the season. And that's what they did.
The hope is that these experiences will certainly strengthen the Bucks going into next season, and that's what head coach Rod Miller is certainly hoping for. He wasn't able to come in this week, but he gave us a code word still, and this week it is maturation. Maturation, because he said, look, this was clearly a challenging season, but he's hoping that for the guys that end up coming back next year, especially the younger players, that they learn from this experience and learn how to win in this league. So maturation, it's the final code word of the season. Take that to Bismarck Bucks Football on Facebook, at Bismarck Bucks on Twitter, and at Bismarck_Bucks on Instagram. And Chris, give us your thoughts on that, and just in terms of how can the guys take what was, a pretty difficult season, and if they end up being brought back next year, hopefully use it to their advantage somehow, or a learning experience, I suppose.
Right, and learning experience is right, because you can't replace playing a full season. You could practice, you can have training camp, but what you learn game in and game out against fellow opponents is crucial. And I think we saw these lessons being learned from players over the course of the season. I mean, if you look at the Bucks roster throughout the year, a lot of guys were very young, you know, their first or second year professionally or their first professional experience, period. So the jump from college to the Indoor Football League, it's big. So you've got to be ready for that and prepared what it brings week to week from a physical, mental exhaustion of just playing constantly. They'll be ready for that in the future. And I'm not sure everybody's going to be brought back, but now the coaching staff knows which guys they would like to bring back, and hopefully they can do that.
We'll dive into a little bit more of that on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show.
Beck News is your leader in local. Beck specials and live information for you. Original programming. Exclusive local sports. Beck is local for you. Uncensored topics and uncensored opinions. Unapologetic politics, where all sides are represented. Full episodes online anytime at beck.news. All in one network. Your leader in local, Beck News.
Nick Bolton here with the latest from Bell & Howell. We call them tack glasses. Inspired by the sunglasses worn by our heroes in uniform, tack glasses block blinding glare so well, invisible objects suddenly become visible. Enhance colors to give you vision as sharp as an eagle's and survive even the harshest conditions. Look, ordinary sunglasses just make things darker, which could be deadly in a tactical situation. Tack glasses improve optical clarity so you can see clearly, even in low light. If you've never seen how this light filtering technology works, check this out. Nothing to see, right? But look again as we hold up our tack glasses. A colorful American eagle is revealed. Amazing!
Act now to get your tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. So don't delay. Order yours today.
To order, call 1-800-288-9503. That's 1-800-288-9503, or order online at trytagglasses.com. 1-800-288-9503.
Welcome back inside the Coaches Show. Chris Clayton, David Sugarman. Let's break down a few individual standouts from this past season. Edgar Allan Poe became a fan favorite for a lot of different reasons. Maybe most importantly, led the team with 12 receiving touchdowns this season. What kind of impact did he have this year?
I think it was big to have his consistency, not just on the field. Obviously, you said 12 touchdowns. I mean, with his 6'5" frame, you see those jump balls. Usually he's able to win those. That's why he pulled down a team best 12 touchdowns. But that's another reason that people loved him, those backflips. And I think there's something to be said about his leadership, too. A very likable guy, smart guy, level-headed. He never really let the emotions get the best of him on the field. So I think his presence helped a lot of the young Bucks players, just him knowing the system, knowing the coaches. I mean, like I said, there wasn't a lot of Bucks players that were able to play start to finish this season. You know, outside of a dinged-up injury here or there, Poe was able to play start to finish the entire season. And I think his presence on the field was calming as a leader, and also pulling in touchdown passes was huge this year. And I think the receiving core in general, especially led by him, was the biggest bright spot for the Bucks all season.
Defensively, the Bucks finished 9th in the IFL, allowing just over 42 points per game. However, they had some real fun playmakers. Who are some of your favorites?
I think for this defense, and this is a group that really had a lot of injuries overall, I think a guy that stood out for me defensively was Jeff Branch. I think he's a guy that was able to show his versatility, starting as a linebacker, playing some linebacker, then becoming a pass rusher. And also Robert Brown Jr. I mean, he was another guy that was very consistent for this team. defensively, playing in almost every single game. He was a consistent force in the secondary. So those are two guys that I think were huge on defense for the Bucks this year.
The Bucks also had some good performances out of guys who latched on later in the year. Specifically, want to talk about quarterback Giovanni Sanders. Only played the last 5 games, but what did you see that impressed you from that small sample size?
I think for me it was his ability to get better. I mean, a quarterback's the toughest position on the field. It's a cliche, but it's true. And what he was able to do getting better week to week was really impressive. And I think if you ask him, he wished he would have been a little bit more consistent, but that was an issue for really all Bucks players. For Sanders personally, for him to come into the quarterback position after not being with the team most of the season and lead the team was impressive. I mean, you see he's got accuracy and he can run with the ball as well, a lot of speed. So his dual threat ability to throw and run the ball is perfect for the indoor football league. That's what you need in your quarterback. And for a guy that didn't have any college experience as a quarterback, he's only getting better. So I don't know if they'll bring him back. He did say earlier this season he would love to be back with the Bismarck Bucks uniform next season. So if he does, certainly he's going to continue to improve with more and more game experience.
Yeah, if the stars align, in addition to Sanders, who else would you like to see in a Bucks uniform again next year?
I think it's a guy we just talked about, Edgar Allan Poe Jr. That's a guy you got to bring back as a player that the fans are familiar with the Bucks players being familiar with. He's obviously a force at wide receiver too. He played major college football at Army, coming down to the Indoor Football League, and is a great red zone threat. If you're not able to punch it in running the ball, jump ball guy, a guy you can throw it downfield to. I think he is a guy that, with more consistent quarterback play, he can put up even better numbers, I think, next year.
The IFL has exciting plays pretty much week in and week out. It's high-octane, high-scoring league, so tough question. But if you had to pick one, what's your favorite play from this past season?
Well, for me, I don't think it was the most spectacular or flashy play of the year, but I think it was one of the bright spots. Way back in March 27th, the game-winning touchdown. I mean, it doesn't get any better than a game-winning touchdown to come up clutch. And we saw later in the season they had deep red zone opportunities they weren't able to cash in on. This one, they were, and it was a huge win. It was a great celebration with the turnover chain and J. Rue Campbell. I think that was one of the most fun moments for the Bucks team, the Bucks fans, and for us covering the team. Just a fun scene to watch them come away with another clutch victory early in the season and part of their 3-2 start, which had everybody really excited.
Last question for you. I guess, you take that 10,000-foot view, as it were, some ups and unfortunately a lot of downs this season. What is your biggest takeaway?
I think it's really the fight of this team. I think the players deserve a lot of credit. There was, it takes a physical and mental toll on you in the Indoor Football League, playing week to week. It's a physical, violent sport, and they brought it every week. They continue to come back, whether it was a home game or road game, and they played hard. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, is just the attitude and the character of this team. And also just told me the importance of bringing back consistent players. There was a lot of roster turnover, probably too much so this season. So I think in future years it's important to try and bring back the same guys week to week.
All right, Chris, thanks for hopping on and helping us out all season long, brother.
Of course, it was fun. Thanks, David.
Bucks Insider Chris Clayton. We'll take one more break and wrap things up when we come back here on the Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial to bring you my BOGO extravaganza. For example, you get one of my Giza Dream bed sheets and you get a second set absolutely free. Or my 6-piece towel sets. Buy one set, get another one absolutely free. Or get my classic premium MyPillow and get another one absolutely free. So call the number on your screen or go to mypillow.com and use your promo code to get my buy one, get one free offers and get deep discounts on all MyPillow products.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground, enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber. Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back inside the Coaches Show, everybody. Before we go, of course, we couldn't end our last Coaches Show without a code word winner. And this week it is Todd Miller, not Rod Miller, the head coach, Todd Miller. 2 different guys, I'm told. Todd, congratulations. We'll be getting in touch with you very soon about your prize. And we do still have one more code word for you. Let's put that up right now. It's maturation. This was a difficult season for Bismarck. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, ending on an 11-game losing streak and finishing 3-13. However, head coach Rod Miller is hoping that a lot of the young guys that will maybe come back next season learned a lot from this process and certainly how tough it is to win ball games in the Indoor Football League. So maturation, we won't have another show next week, but we still will have a winner. So get maturation on the social media channels. Before we go, just want to give a big thanks and shout out to everybody who helped out here on the Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show this season, from head coach Rod Miller, who helped us out every week, and then also getting ready for our game broadcasts, the fellow members of our broadcast crew, Mick Tidrow, Noah Reed, and Chris Clayton. Of course, our wonderful production crew, Luke Tibor and Josh Haugen, and the entire Bucks front office for being so helpful all season long. And thank you for the Bucks players who are willing to give us their time each and every week for interviews to help make this show what it is. So big thank you to them, and of course a big thank you to the fans, everybody who tuned in for a game or a coaches show this season. We appreciate your support. For everybody else, I am David Sugarman signing off for the final time this season for the Bismarck Bucks Coaches Show. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next season.
Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
We have always said, and will continue to say on this show, that it's not enough to just trust the plan. This has been the reality in Mexico for close to 2 decades now.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I'm a 6th generation farmer, husband, patriot, father. And as much as I'd love to just sit here under this shade tree and celebrate my own place on my front porch, truth of the matter is that people don't know who, where, and how is producing their food. So travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
We're the ladies of Another View.
You think about the kind of person who is stupid enough to think that they can raise a tiger.
Bringing you our take on local issues.
Off your shirt. Sunburn, you better take care when you can't stand to sit down in your favorite chair.
The views you won't see anywhere else.
And it's like a river wearing down sharp stones and softening them up.
Catch us weekdays at 4:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Lori Hins here with No Apologies on Beck. You've got a movie.
Of course I've got a movie. What do you mean?
You are the king of all media. How silly of me. Where we bring you our after-hours oasis of sanity.
You're going to see that this is an intentional destruction of the United States in 3 very intentional ways.
every Saturday and Sunday.
There was not a single pro-life women's voice in Congress at that time.
On Beck and Beck.News.
If you've got the TV volume way up right now, then you really need these. These tiny but powerful little hearing aids are the Nano CIC Recharge, priced at only $297 for a full pair. These are not simply amplifiers. These are ultra high quality, ultra reliable hearing aids, priced thousands less than other hearing aids. They fit right in your ear. Nothing shows on the back of your ear. Payments as low as $36 a month.
Call 1-800-431-3690.
We are rewriting Hollywood's script for our kids. I'm pop culture expert Tina Griffin, and as a former Hollywood actress, I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at how today's entertainment is eroding the foundational development of America's youth and how to safely navigate this pop culture chaos. Knowledge is power. Parents want solutions. It's time to